listening to Unravel with Natalie Denise.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Nightly with Natalie with news from the daily traffic. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I don't know why I struggled there for a second. You know why? Because I know why. Because I just got through reading a story that I'm going to bring to you guys, a missing woman from Houston, Texas. And I actually do want to watch the video with you guys because it was heartwarming. In a way, it kind of made me want to cry a little bit because, human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, I think this is truly what will bring us together if we continually all get involved and we continually become active in this pursuit for justice. And I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to the story, but just the way that everybody came together, and it's such a horrible circumstance, right? To bring everybody together. But the fact that people don't, people forget about what the mainstream narrative is when they come together and they're unified on an issue. And, I see that in many respects to what we see in the world and, what we see going on, in which we find ourselves having to fight together. And human trafficking is definitely an issue where we cannot negate the issue based on what the world is telling us to look away from, which you see a lot of distraction with, race and, divisive politics. And, this is truly an issue that is going to bridge us together when we work together and when we forget everything that the mainstream media is trying to distract us from, right? So let's get to it. Let me go ahead and begin. I'm going to actually begin with the piece because I don't know why this touches me so much. We go through these stories every single day. You guys know, right? We go through these stories every day. But this one, for whatever reason, maybe it's because she's from Houston. She's from my town, right? Maybe it's because I see just so many people coming together. But this, for whatever reason, is really tugging at my heartstrings. Let's take a look at this. So this is coming from the New York Post / Fox 26 News. A woman by the name of Felicia Johnson has gone missing in Houston, Texas. She was visiting her family. And whilst her visiting her family, she was trying to get a job in Houston as a dancer. And while she was getting a job for a dancer, she actually got abducted. All right. And her phone was found on the side of the road. And there's some suspicion that it might be, there might be some implication that the strip club she applied to, because they rejected her application, if you will. They're the family suspecting that they may have tipped off a trafficker and all this, and that's how she got abducted. And I look, usually I'm very and I don't mean this in a wrong way. Usually I'm very I can persist with each story. But look at the way that people come together. Let me read out the details to you. A Houston woman has vanished while leaving a local strip club, and now her family fears the worst after her phone was discovered in a park covered in blood, authorities said. Felicia Johnson was last seen at the Cover Girls nightclub on West Little York Road in Houston, Texas, on the night of April 15th when she accepted a ride from an unknown man. Community activist Quanell X said Sunday. He is quoted here saying, "We firmly believe that someone has taken her against her will, and we believe that this sister should be treated with the highest priority with law enforcement," the head of the new Black Panther Nation in Houston said at a visual. Quanell X said that Johnson got into the man's car because her Uber ride was running late. "We know something bad happened to this sister. She has not called a family member of her family, not used her credit cards, didn't return back to the hotel where she was staying," said an activist. And this is a picture of Felicia Johnson at a dinner. Felicia Johnson, who lives in California, had traveled to Houston earlier this month to celebrate her birthday and to earn some extra money. According to her family, Johnson was described as a model, or is described as a model. We are hoping that she is well and, in better circumstances, that she can be recovered. She's described as a model, has applied for a job as a dancer at the CoverGirl's Gentlemen's Club, but was turned down. After not hearing from Johnson after her night out on April 15th, her worried family members hired a private investigator who found her bloodied cell phone along Eldridge Parkway near Bear Creek Park, which was located about 5 miles away from the club. They held a prayer vigil. Last Tuesday, the volunteer equestrian search group, Texas EquiSearch, spent hours scouring the area where Johnson's phone was located. Detectives from the Houston Police Department were also on hand, speaking at the vigil at the park Sunday. Johnson's father, Kevin Johnson, addressed his missing daughter directly and vowed to bring her back. Oh, I don't know why this one is I really don't know why this one's getting me. I don't. Like this one, for whatever reason, I want to cry. And you guys see me night after night, I just power through these stories. Power through these stories. But for whatever reason, this one just tugs at me. And I don't know why. I think it's because of the way that everybody just came together and the way that this family is coming together to plead for their baby girl. Her dad says, "Baby, daddy is here for you." He said, "I'm not leaving until we find you. I'm standing strong for you every day, and it's getting harder. I'm not going to lie, but every day I'm finding more strength to keep going." Kevin Johnson described his daughter. Kevin Johnson described, they said her daughter, I think it's his daughter, as a sweet person and an inspiring model. She wanted to be a dancer, model, anything had to do with glamour. That's basically who she was, who she is, he said. Meanwhile, Cornell X called the Houston police to treat cases involving Black missing women as seriously as those involving white women. This is the fourth case I've dealt with in 6 months of missing African-American female, Cornell X said. And every one of those cases of a missing African-American female, HPD has dragged its feet and they didn't do anything until I began to go public. All right, so let's take a look at this video. It's really this video. And, I do hope that the law enforcement does treat this case, and it seems to be, you guys will see that it's evident or hear that it is evident that they are taking this case very seriously, as the detectives did show up to the prayer vigil. But what I was going to say is that definitely every missing person's case needs to be taken seriously. A child, a woman of every single color needs to be taken seriously. All right, let's take a listen to this here. This is a video coming from Fox 26 News. Woo, let's take a look. All right, let's go.
Fox 26's Gabby Hart is live tonight after community leaders joined the family for a prayer vigil not long ago. Gabby.
At that prayer vigil, we saw Houston police as well as a spokesperson from Houston Crime Stoppers. In addition, community activist Quanell X was in attendance. He prayed with the family. He also sent a strong message to the people responsible in this young woman's disappearance.
We're coming after you and those who think like you, and those who believe that you can just kidnap and take Black women.
More than 1 week ago, 24-year-old Felicia Johnson accepted a ride from a stranger while leaving CoverGirl Strip Club here in Houston. She hasn't been seen since. Her bloody phone found on the side of the road near Bear Creek Park.
We know somebody has grabbed this girl. We know it. And she's being held against her will. I just hope and pray this time we can find the sister alive.
Felicia's family believes she's still alive and a victim of sex trafficking. On Sunday evening, community activist Quanell X held a vigil to pray for her safe return.
Sister, if you can see us, you have not been forgotten. If you can see us, we are hunting and looking for you night and day. Hang on. Hang in there.
Felicia was visiting family in Houston and tried to get a job as a dancer at CoverGirl Strip Club. Her father says the man she left with was a regular at the establishment and that he believes someone from the club is covering something up.
And I don't have any proof, But I feel in my heart that strip club has something to do with it.
Quanell X says he invited the owners and staff from Cover Girls to this prayer vigil. I asked them to join us today, to come out here, to send a message that you do value women, that you do value these young girls. While no one from the strip club showed up, 2 HPD detectives who are investigating the case did attend and took part in prayer. And thank you two men for sacrificing from the time from your families to work night and day looking for her. We thank you, gentlemen. Law enforcement and community members working together with one goal, to bring Felicia home safe. Let this woman go. Felicia, hang in there, sister. We love you. We're looking for you.
See, this is the part that really got me, was the fact that, and this was actually a smart move of the community activist Quanell X. So he invited the people from the strip club that where she got abducted from. He invited them to the prayer vigil, and they didn't even attend. And the part that got me was that he said that, right? And then from there, he then turned to the detectives that were on the case, who showed up to this prayer vigil, and he said thank you to them. Thank you for being here. Like this, I don't know why that part got me, but that was a very strategic move. The fact that they suspect that this strip club may have something to do with the fact that Felicia Johnson is missing today, and that she's possibly, as we speak, and I know this is a very dark way to put it, but as we speak, she might be being sex trafficked as we speak. And, this goes to show that, this goes to show how some strip clubs are implicated in all this. Obviously that's the industry that's very like a fine line between prostitution, sex trafficking, and then entertainment, right? And so with that, it's that much more easier to get into some dark trouble like this, where you do have Johns that are very angry, and traffickers and pimps that are hungry for money, hungry for exploitation, and they just take it and they run with it. And it's something like this where a strip club could be implicated in this woman's disappearance. And how many more cases are out there like this, where exploited women who are used for their bodies are then taken against their will from something that they were willfully entering, right? Maybe they were willfully entering the space as a dancer, as a, but then they get caught into this realm where they can't escape, and it's all due to people who are money hungry and hungry to exploit people. So I just, what got me was the fact that this issue does truly bring us together, as dark as it is. And you guys see it, that it doesn't matter whether your skin color, what background you come from, whether you're from the suburbs or from the ghetto, from the hood, it doesn't matter. Everybody is at risk to be exploited. And if you do not protect your children, you do not warn them, anybody can become and fall victim to this, whether you're strong-minded or not. This is a spiritual warfare. Just don't believe what the media is telling you, that we're divided, guys, that we're divided on race, that you can't make it because of your skin color or anything like that. We are truly, we ought to be loving each other and supporting each other, especially in hard times like this. And this is the only way that we're going to be able to combat this issue, is when we love each other, and when we can come together for each other. Don't let the media separate us. Don't let the media tell you that, we're separated because this or that, or because of, what some politician says. I truly believe that we can come together on this issue and fight it out. but we've got to abolish what the mainstream media is telling us, that we need to be at war with each other, that we need to have ideological wars every single day. We just really need to abandon the mainstream narrative and come together to fight this issue. And until we do that, this issue is going to persist. I don't know why this video completely pulled me, but it did, especially with her family and with what he did with inviting the strip club out and they didn't come out. It speaks volumes. All right, let's move on to the next story. This is coming from WBIR, and this is in Tennessee. 8 men are busted in a Sevier County human trafficking sting. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation announced that 8 men are behind bars after a 2-day operation in Sevier County to address human trafficking. The TBI said law enforcement officers from the county, Gatlinburg, Sevierville, and Pigeon Forge worked together to arrest 8 men accused of seeking illicit sex from children. The operation began on April 21st. TBI said that authorities placed several decoy advertisements on websites known to be linked to prostitution with the specific intent of finding people trying to engage in commercial sex acts with minors. Officers arrested the following 8 men and booked them into Sevier County Jail. And these are the 8 men right here. Starting from the top left, Eric Griffith, Ivan Freeman, Kevin Bayer, Raul Pedro, Tyler Arrington, Dennis Tayukin, Benjamin Holt, and Carl Cantrell. These are the 8 men that were arrested and soliciting children for sex in Tennessee. All right. The next one is going to come from, I believe, South Carolina. This is from CBS 17. All right. From Columbia, South Carolina, prostitution and human trafficking sting along I-95 nets 13 arrests. And they say, coming from CBS 17 once again, according to state law enforcement and prosecutors, more than a dozen people have been arrested and charged in connection to commercial sex crimes during a statewide sting. The multi-day, multi-agency operations were focused on hotels and motels on the I-95 corridor. The State Human Trafficking Task Force conducted the operations. The South Carolina Attorney General's office said it resulted in the arrest of 13 people. Additional charges included unlawful carry of a handgun, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession with intent to distribute a Schedule II narcotic, distribution of cocaine, and distribution of marijuana. Officers also seized 3 firearms resulting from the arrests. As a chair of the State Human Trafficking Task Force, I cannot highlight enough the importance of law enforcement partnering to address the complexities of this crime. Attorney General Alan Wilson said, by stopping the demand for commercial sex, we want to discourage traffickers who hope to profit by supplying victims. According to the release, task force operations were a means of addressing the demand for commercial sex in low country and PD regions. Operations will continue across South Carolina. And they just say, we are committed to working with our local, state, and federal partners to thoroughly investigate these crimes. Right. So South Carolina is where that came from. And the next story coming from TMZ, MTV making the band. So this is it looks to be like a reality star. Chopper arrested for sex trafficking. Former MTV making the band star Chopper has been busted for sex trafficking, with law enforcement accusing him of being a pimp. Once again, what do I say? This always dictates that every walk of life is affected by every walk of life. Former MTV making the band star Chopper has been busted for sex trafficking, with law enforcement accusing him of being a pimp. Chopper was arrested earlier this month in Maryland, and he's being extradited to Las Vegas to face sex trafficking charges in Sin City. According to new legal documents obtained by TMZ, an undercover vice detective in Nevada posing as a sex worker says Chopper directly messaged them on Instagram with an apparent offer to make money through prostitution. The undercover cop said that they searched Chopper's IG account and noticed several posts related to prostitution and pimping, including posts where Chopper flaunted wealth and made references to being a pimp, including one image of him inside a plane with a phone alongside the caption, "Send him," with a money bag and a crown emoji. In the documents, the undercover cop says that they launched an investigation into Chopper after seeing the social media evidence of potential sex trafficking operation. The undercover officer says that Chopper calls them and brags about frequent travel and having 7 homes across the country, including one in Las Vegas, while also telling the undercover officer Sin City was not a safe place to do business because law enforcement was cracking down. What's more, the undercover officer says that they had a phone interview with Chopper, and after passing the test, Chopper told them that they would make them part of his team and stable. The undercover officer says Chopper then became aggressive with them over the phone, ordering them around like he might do a sex worker, telling them to pack their belongings to get to the airport and meet him in Charlotte, North Carolina, to join his stable. From there, the undercover says that, excuse me, they stalled by telling Chopper they were scared to leave home, with Chopper trying to verbally force them to make the trip, getting angry and demanding a $2,000 fee. Between the alleged social media posts, direct messages, phone calls, and a fee demand, the undercover officer says that there was enough evidence to arrest and charge Chopper with a felony sex trafficking. The TMZ, reached out to Chopper's camp. No word has been said about that. All right, we're going to get this one out too. Atlanta rapper Uncut Gems, extra cash out, indicted on 13 counts of rape and sex trafficking. This is also coming from TMZ. He's facing 25 to life. Cash Out, the Atlanta rapper who scored a pair of Billboard and platinum and gold hits in the early 2000s, 2010, excuse me, plus a shared screen time with Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, is facing some hefty prison time. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis charged Cash Out and 5 other individuals in a 41-count indictment that includes allegations of rape, aggravated sodomy, human trafficking, and even holding victims at gunpoint. The Deputy District Attorney, Ernell Winfrey, says the rapper, known for songs Cashin' Out and She Twerkin', is facing 25 to life in prison. Cash Out stands accused of being his celebrity status and social media as a means to lure women. According to the prosecutors, he and others used a hotel room near Fulton, Industrial Boulevard, and residents in the city's Carroll Heights neighborhood to carry out the crimes. So that's a post. Cash Out soon after took to his Instagram story to clear his name with an ominous message that called for his name to be cleared. After signing a short-lived deal with Epic Records, it funneled that Cashin' Out record, Co is what they say, would go to collaborate with Future, Migos, and Lil Durk, but saw his musical career stall and sputter in the past few years. He did have an incredible Christmas Day 2019 when he cameoed himself in the Safdie Brothers film Uncut Gems that was with Adam Sandler and Lakeith Stanfield, but now he's got a big legal problems on his hands. It looks to be that like when these people find themselves, like for instance, the last 2 stories that we just read out, these were 2 musical career, I guess, people. And it being that one of them, yeah, the one was on Making the Band on MTV, the other one being a rapper. It looks to be that when they can't get their career off and going anymore, they then result to something more nefarious to make their money. And it seems to be that it's very evident that sex trafficking is, a high dollar business because they can reuse people's bodies over and over and over again. This is very, very sad. that this happens, but it's even it's better that they are convicted and behind bars, so it's good to know that they are off the streets. All right. So we're going international now. This story is coming from the Philippines. This is from Manila Bulletin. Boanga City, 16 female victims of trafficking were rescued by authorities at Bongao Seaport in Tawi-Tawi, Providence, Saturday, April 23rd. According to naval forces, Western Mindanao report the victims were on board MV Cristel Jane 3 when they were rescued for NAV 4 WEM intelligence operatives and Marine Battalion Landing Team 12 of Naval Task Group Tawi-Tawi. The victims reportedly came from various provinces in the country, in Philippines once again, and were brought to Samboanga City and onwards to Tawi-Tawi, where they would sail towards Malaysia through the southern back door. Malaysia is a huge time. On top of all the other hubs of human trafficking, Malaysia is one of the biggest human trafficking hubs. Syndicates, which means traffickers, were taking advantage of Tawi-Tawi's proximity to neighboring countries, notably Malaysia, to carry out their illegal business. Tawi-Tawi is about 203 kilometers away from Malaysia. This prompted the Bongao municipal government to strengthen its campaign against illegal recruiters and human traffickers. A report from the Bongao municipal government's local council on anti-trafficking in persons and violence against women and children said 11 people were also rescued in line with their campaign against human trafficking since January. On May 31st, 2020, authorities intercepted a speedboat carrying 7 victims of illegal recruitment and human trafficking at the border of Barangay Poblacion, Turtle Islands, Tawi-Tawi province. All right. Next story coming from Ireland. This is from the Irish Examiner. And this drives my point of what I've said in the past about sex work and it being, utilized as or flaunted as a job that needs to be legalized. And we need to put it forth now. And this is why I rail against it, because sometimes this is in a facade that the trafficker can very easily attack and can cause harm to the sex workers. Hundreds of reports of men claiming to be Gardaí attacking sex workers. Gardaí have been given hundreds of reports of men claiming to be members of the force and abusing and harassing sex workers. The incidents brought by Gardaí by the Ugly Mugs Ireland, an online safety platform to protect sex workers, include men violently attacking, robbing, and sexually assaulting their mainly female victims from 2016 up until as recently as last month. Ugly Mugs, which says it's in touch with an estimated 1,000 sex workers in Ireland, met with the Garda Inspectorate in 2019. It appealed to investigate officers to brief Garda Commissioner Drew Harris on the number of people abusing sex workers while claiming to be either a Garda or having friends in the force. The reports seen in the Irish Examiner range from demanding free sex or else they will arrest the worker to violent abuse, including rape and choking and assault. One woman was robbed in Dublin hotel when 3 men who claimed to be Gardaí arrived and stole her money and phone. Another woman reported that the client showed her a Gardaí badge and threatened her to get out of his town or he will get back with his mates. He will be back with his mates. She said that he demanded oral sex before leaving and she called for help. Men alleging to be Gardaí, there have been at least 2 reports that men alleging, there have been numerous reports where such men appearing to be Gardaí who target foreign sex workers due to their particular vulnerability and demand the services for free in order to save them from deportation. So the Gardaí Commissioner's Office, they have disseminated a notice out to the Gardaí, the force, They have confirmed that correspondence received by the commissioner was examined by the Garda National Protective Services Bureau, which is responsible for policing the sex work and sex trafficking. All right. And there's always going to be a rising crime against sex workers around the world, so long as this is in place, and this is exactly my point. This is just a facade. These sex workers, they get sold this idea that they're going to be saved and they're going to be protected. But even with liberal or like very loose policies allowing sex work, this is what happens. It's been evidenced over and over and over again, right? Anyway, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for your support. This is going to be a short one today. Thank you again for sharing this podcast with people. Please be sure to like this video and give a good view to the podcast if you're listening on audio. I surely appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will catch you guys in the next one. You didn't know, and now you do. I will catch you guys later. Have a great night or a great day, depending on when you're listening to me. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into Unravel with Natalie Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.